Hello and welcome to From Mrs. to Me, a podcast where you'll be inspired by courageous stories of strength and resilience told by women just like you who have been through the upheaval of divorce. This is their journey from Mrs. to Me, finding their true identity and creating a bold, beautiful life. I'm Crissy Freeman and I'm your host, a certified life coach and divorced mother of two. Join me each week as we explore real stories of divorce and what it takes to transform and live in alignment with the real you. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the From Mrs. to Me podcast. I'm your host, Crissy Freeman. And today, my guest, Tamara, is a dating and relationship coach and founder of True Connection. She is an accomplished mental health professional turned coach and speaker. She is passionate about saving people from further heartache, wasting years of time and money dating the wrong people, and helping them attract and build the passionate, loving relationship they seek. Wow, that is something I think a lot of us want. So welcome, Tamara. So excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you, Crissy. I'm so excited to be here and to meet your community.
Great. Well, let's jump right in. And, first, for those of you that are familiar with the podcast, we talk a lot about transformation from Mrs. to Me. And as someone, Tamara, who has made a fairly significant change from a practicing mental health practitioner to pursuing your passion of becoming a dating and relationship coach and speaker, can you tell the audience first what prompted you to make or even consider this kind of a pivot professionally?
Well, I've always been interested in couples and families, and that started when I was a teenager. So my dive into personal development started in high school. But then I got sidetracked and off track and had children. And, I really wanted to base my schedule around what was good for the kids. And so now, finally, 10 years ago, it feels like finally, that I got to start really diving in. And what prompted my journey back into my original passion in high school was my own divorce, my own struggle with dating and finding the right person. And I just realized after my divorce that I married a really wonderful guy, but we didn't make any sense. So I married for love. So I followed, the fairy tale, but I didn't realize after the part A, the part B of the fairy tale. And so I married a really nice person, but we didn't have any of the things to make it sustainable. We didn't have enough connections to make it last. So then I also did, which followed the statistics, which is then dated and fell really passionately in love. Like if you've ever had that draw to someone where you're just like, oh, you feel like home to me. I can't live without you. And it's
yes.
powerful. You literally can't break the bond. That's really actually not a good indicator, but I, of course, fell madly, just passionately into that romantic mist. And it was the same pattern, though, really nice guy, and we didn't have enough connectors. So I got better, right, with my selection process. We had more connections, but we didn't have enough. So again, having to put my children through this loss and breakup, and our children were best friends. So in a way, it was more loss, and they were a bit older. And so I thought, oh my, okay, now I'm back in the dating pool. And I just started noticing these patterns, not just with myself, but other people. So using all my mental health and then becoming a mastery level coach, all of my research and personal experience. And I just thought, oh, I can so easily stop this from happening to other people so they're not repeating the same cycle. And even though most of us have learned that love isn't enough, we need to hear it again and recognize that it's okay to come out of that kind of fairy tale illusion of that love is all it takes. It takes so much more, but really it's just simple tools that will get you with the right person in the first place, have you navigate your own journey. And then once you find someone, stay together and stay connected so you don't drift apart.
So many great things. First, I want to highlight for the audience, it is not easy to make that kind of a change. So
Yeah.
I hear from people all the time, yes, I want to pursue my passion, but I can't do that because of all these reasons why. And it's uncomfortable. It's leaning
Right.
into that discomfort, right? Of doing something different. But also, it's so important for us to align with our authentic selves. And part of that is pursuing something that is really valuable and important to us. And so, you having this journey and going through it on your own and then going out and doing that is, really something that, is not easy. And so, I will ask you just a follow up question to that of, how did you take action to sort of build your own business
Mhm.
and, sort of quiet those fears that come up for all of us, and actually pursue it when you already had really probably a very stable career, that you were confident in.
Oh, I did. I had a career with a pension. And then when you're thinking about if you have children, I've already put them through two losses, right? And so as a mom, right now, I'm the protector and the provider. As a single parent, I want to make sure that I do maintain that routine and stabilization for my children. So it was tough to come to that realization, but because I'd had this passion since I was a teenager, I really wanted to dive into that. And because I had already had a counseling career, I was able to pivot more naturally and do it on the side. And COVID forced me to learn all the online skills. And so I can help anyone from anywhere in the world. And so COVID really did force me to kind of trample out some of those fears and try new skills and just force myself into, and dating helps you do that too, forces you into all the scary places that you have to go to and just triumph over the fear and just say, I'm going to do it. What's the worst thing that can happen? And I had a business career before this. And so I think part of the comfort too was the realization that, oh my goodness, all the skills I learned doing all these other things are really going to help me pivot and help me build what I want to create now at this stage in my life. And so it wasn't wasted time. It was all a gift to help me build on what I want to create now.
Yeah, and I love that because I think we all have these skills that shouldn't go to waste that we can always use. And your point about COVID, I mean, wow, it was such a blessing and a curse it was for so many of us, myself included, in really having time at home and able to really also develop additional skills, like technology and, being able to use that to create your own, new business. So, um, I want to, talk a little bit about one of the common things, as in the work that you do that comes up fairly often with women that I talk to, and I know I experienced myself after my own divorce, is the fear of being alone after divorce. There's, so many women that they've been married for so long. They've been, this wife, and that was their identity. And now all of a sudden, that is gone. And so there's so much fear associated with who am I now and how do I move forward? And so instead of doing the inner healing, right, they jump really quickly into another relationship. So, my first question to you around this space is, what do you tell your clients or others if they come see you and this has sort of been a pattern of theirs?
Well, that's all really natural because once, like for me, for instance, after my divorce, I felt really excited and liberated because I knew it was the right thing, not just for me, but my children. Because statistically, our children will repeat our mistakes. So they will choose their future spouse, as we do all subconsciously choose our spouse, through what they've seen and the patterns they've seen with their family unit, whoever was in that unit. And so I wanted my children to wonder what marriage should really be like, as opposed to thinking what we had created was normal or healthy. And so you might go from that jubilation to panic and loneliness and back to empowerment and then back to loneliness. And you're going to go in and out of this. And so what I tell my clients when you're starting over and you're fighting all those conflicting emotions, I'm this strong, empowered woman. I can do this. I have all these beautiful skills that I've had in the closet, right? Parts of me hidden away because I've sacrificed everything to try to make my relationship work and my family work, to be a mom, if you are one, and be a wife. I can bring all those out, which is also frightening, just getting reacquainted with our own identity and our own magic and what we have to bring to the world. So you're swimming around in all these conflicting emotions. So if you're deciding whether or not you should date, just be honest with where you're at when you come back out there. So when you get online, for instance, check the box that says, I just want to see who's out there, or casual dating. Check the box that most aligns with where you're at, not what you want 5 years from now, where you are right this second. You can always change the box. You can always check another box. So don't put that pressure on yourself to be healed. We're never all going to be all the way healed, but you want to be in a place where you feel like dating's fun. I don't want you to feel burnt out. Like if you start dating and you go out and it's not a good experience, or it's not happy and you're not comfortable with just where you are right now, it might not be fun. And when you discover it isn't, just stop. Just close things off, or pause your profile, or just go out and make friends and do things to connect more with who you are. And this is going to be a series of stages. It's just going to be a progression. Like you might not want to date people that are ready for a long-term relationship because you're not there yet. Wait till you are. Match yourself with people that have the same intentions, and that saves you and the other person from heartache unnecessarily.
Yeah. So, there's a few things there. First, as a mom, you highlighted sort of what you want to really model for your kids. And I think that's really important. Both that as we think about decisions for our lives and what we are doing going forward, but most importantly, being authentic to ourselves and giving ourselves what we need. And I think when we do that for ourselves, and we're not afraid to go out there and admit, this is hard, but I'm going to do it anyway. And this is the place that I'm in right now. And I love that you said that just being honest to where you are right now, because I think a lot of women, when they go online to date, first of all, it's completely overwhelming. And second of all, it's you're coming from this place of, wait a minute, do I need to market myself so that people like me? And do I need to put out there what I think they want to see from me? And what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that no, you need to put out there who you are, where you are in this moment. And then you will attract those similar or like-minded people in terms of where they are right now.
Right. Well, and as you progress in your healing journey, you will attract different people, which is a really good thing. So conscious dating really is about attracting who you want, which means that's why I do online dating profiles. I want you to be able to authentically put yourself out there so that you are attracting people that you will have fun with and connect with, even if it's just casually. So when you're going to see live music with someone, or out for appetizers or ice cream with someone, then it's enjoyable. It's a good experience. And then it's not yet another disheartening factor in your life. And with children too, everything you're going through, when you see it through the frame of it's helping you, but it's also your children are learning how to select a future spouse or dating partner through your example,
Yes.
which is so you feel so much more empowered dating and as a mom when you realize everything you're doing is also helping your kids. It just makes it more fun on a new level.
Yes. And I love that you do online dating profiles, by the way. I think they're so intimidating for so many people, and people get stuck in that particular part of it. And either they log off and say, forget it, this isn't for me, or they create something that definitely is not in alignment with who they are, or what they want. So I love that you offer that, because I think that is one of the big things for people when they go out, men or women, I'm sure, when they go through online dating. So
Well, because you might end up thinking, if just your photos are wrong, you're going to be left thinking, there's no one out there. There's no one I want to date. There's no one that matches with my intentions, or I'm getting really creepy responses, but the reason things aren't going well, it's not you. It's just that your profile is sending out a vibe or a signal or an energy that's not matching with who you want.
yes. And it's all about energy. I mean, at the end of the day, I always say that it is so much about the energy that we are putting out there. And I love the idea of having fun with it, because I will tell you, I was one of those people. I made some bad decisions after my divorce. I jumped into some relationships that were not aligned with my values, with who I was. And a lot of that was because I wasn't looking at it from that perspective. And it wasn't until I started to say, you know what? I enjoy meeting people. I just enjoy meeting people and having good conversation. And so why wouldn't I just start going out on dates? Stop being so analytical about this whole process and just have fun with it and meet people. And that's totally when things started to shift for me. So I love that whole concept of just having fun with it.
Well, and some of the ways that you can build yourself up for success are to, well, first of all, you need to write down your deal breakers. What will make it not fun for you? Right. So it could be anything. It could be spirituality. It could be smoking. It could be location. If you're having to drive 2 hours to meet someone for a cocktail, is that really fun? Is that a good use of your time? So whatever those are, and then a deal breaker by definition is, if you have this in your life, we work opposite shifts, we're literally never going to be able to see each other. That could be a deal breaker. That means by definition, I'm not dating them. It's over. Okay. So it's just a way to take the pressure off and decrease the pool so it's not overwhelming. The second thing to do is make a needs list. What do I need to have right now in my dating life, in my relationship life? What are my needs? So what do I need to make this somebody that's interested in this? Maybe they don't need to golf, but maybe they need to be active. Maybe they don't need to have my, same precise activities, but some. So what is it? What do you need to make it fun and valuable, a good use of your time, right? Because we've got a million balls in the air. What would make it good for you? So when you start off with that, it helps you narrow your dates so they're good dates and they're fun. And then to help take the pressure off, you're going to get on the phone with someone before you go out on a date, even if it's a blind date. Your neighbor has put you up, your friend, get on the telephone, because believe me, a lot of times you will find out on the phone you're just not a good match. That date's not going to be fun. Another way to me, if someone won't get on the phone with me, and that's rare, everyone sees the sense after you invite them to get on a phone call with you, sees the sense in it. Because after you get in the car and you get dialed up and you drive there, and that happens a couple of times, and you realize, oh man, I knew in the first 10 minutes we weren't a good match. You realize the importance of the phone call. Another thing to take the pressure off of you is to realize the first date, the second date, is just a meet and greet. It's just to decide, do I want to go out with you again? No pressure. That's all it is. And that takes the pressure off you and your date. And it's going to be casual, right? You're not going to go to dinner and a movie. You're not going to go on an 8-mile hike in a remote location. There's just a lot of little dating tips to help build you up for success. And for women, the number one thing we look for is safety. We want to feel safe. And so a lot of what I put out there, and I give these same tips to men because I want them to have the tools to help you feel safe. So they're not asking you, do you want to go for a boat ride? No, I'm not getting on your boat. I don't know you.
Yeah.
No, you're not. I don't know you. No, you're not cooking me dinner in your home. I don't know you. And they're trying to be gentlemanly with these asks, right?
Yeah.
What they don't realize is subconsciously we are receiving that as an unsafe situation. And that puts us in a position of having to decline and to model the date, which puts us in our masculine energy. And that's another place we don't want to be in that early in a relationship too. So I'm trying to help both sides kind of navigate the process, because as a gentleman, he really does want to protect and provide these things for you. But subconsciously, we need to feel safe before we can let any of those just more vulnerable situations take place that build intimacy, but not for the first few dates. For the first few dates, we need to be in public, shorter dates like appetizers, wine tasting, ice cream, not for an 8-mile hike in a remote path.
Yes, that makes so much sense. And what I think is great about this and what you're providing is that a lot of the women that are here in this audience, listening today, watching, they have really been in a marriage for so long that the dating scene is so new. And so it's like, well, he's asking me to go to his house. He's going to cook me dinner. Is that like the norm? Is that what people are
Right.
supposed to do? And it's almost like you don't want to feel like I'm weird because I'm saying no. That doesn't make me comfortable. And now all of a sudden, right out of the gate, I'm not going to have any dates because I'm going to be telling them no. So I love that you highlighted that safety piece, because I think a lot of women may not feel comfortable enough to say, oh, yeah, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Can we do something else in a way where, the other person doesn't necessarily feel bad? But we have to in the world that we live in now, we have to put safety first. And it's not about, the rules and what you should or shouldn't do. It's about being safe. So, I love that you provided that tip, because we don't always think about that. But you talk in your bio about helping women from spending years dating the wrong person and or people, sorry, maybe plural. This feels like a really like a big one. And I often hear there just aren't any good people out there to date. So from your expertise, your background, do you think that's the issue, or are there other things women should be considering before they start dating?
Well, I think you will probably feel at times like there are no good people out there, because who you're attracting might not be who you really want to date. And there could be some just factual things that you could change, like your dating profile, like your images. You have 1 second to capture someone's attention with your 1 second. Oh, which can be intimidating,
Right.
but it's also easy to fix. Right. So simple things can be done. The biggest thing, like you mentioned before, is the energy you're putting out there. And that's going to come out in your images and what you say in your profile. Also, because we're single women, the energy that you put out there at the grocery store, right? When you're volunteering, when you're at an event, if you're at your children's sporting activities, the energy that you present when you go out there could be masculine, which
Mm,
means you're drawing in men that have more feminine energy, because we all have both masculine and feminine energy. So when I have my boss energy on, I've made this mistake so many times. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I can walk in as a businesswoman with my boss energy on into a date.
no. Right.
I a whole date off in the first few seconds because I've forgotten to do something I know now is a best practice, which if I'm presenting my masculine energy, he's going to instantly decide she doesn't need me. She doesn't want my masculine protection, me to be the provider, right? So dating ultimately on a primal level hasn't changed, but we feel like it has. That's why it scares us. And that's why we're
Yeah.
scared to put ourselves out there. It's all the same. We are wired the same as men and women. But because of our different roles that we play, and as a single parent, you're wearing all the hats, right?
Yeah.
And you have your own business, or you're in a masculine role at work and you're in the place of provider, you're going to walk in with your masculine energy on. You're going to walk into the store, the grocery, the sporting event, a volunteering, hanging out with your friends. And then that you are also then going to attract situations, work situations, and friends based on that energy too. So the easiest way that I find just to bring my true self forward. So I'm attracting the friendships and the male partners that I want to attract is to sit in my car and close my eyes and just center myself so that I'm in the right energy, the true me energy that I want the world to connect with. Not the I've got a million things to do, my masculine energy, I've got to get all these things on my to-do list. That's not the energy that I want someone to date. And so I just sit in my car for a minute and just center myself and take some deep breaths. So when I walk into the store now, I get the response. People are smiling at me and engaging with me. And even if I'm in a hurry, right? A lot of times I am. I've got 10 minutes to hustle.
We all are, yes.
Bam, 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 before I've got to be somewhere. I'm still connecting in a whole different way. It's a wild, the response and eye contact that you'll see. Just that different exchange, just for a moment with people. Because when you're in the hustle masculine energy of I'm providing and protecting right now, they are, well, okay, I need to tell you, 95% of the men I talk to are not going to approach. They're scared to death that you're going to call them creepy, right? They don't want to be the creeper guy. They literally are scared to death. And so with your masculine energy on, it's a hard no. The only people I find that are bold enough to approach a woman is someone that's used to rejection. So someone in sales or some other role that they're just used to it. Like it's just old hat. And you are going to get rejected just like I do, just like men do, because we're either in a situation where we can't date or we want different things or he lives in Alaska or
right. There's so many.
Someone, but that simple 1 minute, 2 minute practice before, and I mean every date, the fifth date, every date. And I tell the men the same thing. If they walk in, they just dropped their kids off at daycare to be with you. They're going to walk in with their feminine energy on, aren't they? It's the same. We just want to walk in and present as our natural, authentic selves. That practice in the car before every errand, before every date is just going to ground you in who you are. And then you will magically start to attract different people into your life. It's just a very small but profound thing.
Yeah, because it is about, I always say we're always wearing these different costumes throughout the day, right? Mm-hmm. It could be mom in the morning, and then it's boss or employee in the afternoon, and then it's friend or daughter or whatever it might be. And they're all different, right? They're all different identities. And really that tapping into that authenticity can be really hard when you're running around, to your point, all day. You've got a million things going on and you're doing it all yourself. And now you've got to go on this date and really try to connect with someone because, right, it's all about connecting. And you can't connect when you're in that high energy of whatever else has been going on all day. So I love that idea of just sitting in your car and giving yourself a moment to just slow down. So don't run to those dates and be there like,
so get there early.
Late. Get there early. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then you have that extra time to breathe, to tap into, okay, let's let go of all that stuff. Let me access the energy of who I really am and how I want to show up. So and then approach the date. Yeah.
With that playful, feminine, flirty energy, put music on that inspires you or gets you in that headspace of who you really are, connects with your heart so that he can get a feeling for who you are. Because if it's at the end of the date, you just need to know, is this a yes or a no? Do I want to go out again? Yes or no? And if it's a maybe, that's a yes because he's nervous too. So, and he might have been out of his mode also. So we all just have to give each other that grace of, and we really need to get out of the mode of he's not my type. So height, or I mean, I tell the men this all the time. Like, that's a trap. It doesn't really matter, if they're not who you're used to dating. You're used to dating guys that are 5'11", blonde, blue-eyed. Okay. There's a new you now. There's a new person that you want to open up and just have fun and explore. And that exploring comes from dating people who have different, maybe lifestyles or interests or appearances than you're used to. Like, you will notice when you start dating again, and you'll reacquaint like the feelings that you had when you first started dating, back in the day, was they bring out different parts of you. I feel so funny when I'm with him. I feel really pretty when I'm with him. I feel really, he brings out my intellectual side. Like, we really have this really fun intellectual banter. And it's just neat to see different sides get inspired by who you're with, like how you choose your friends. And that's just another element to explore too. So don't put that pressure on yourself that this person has to fit into a mold. Just go out. Just see who you resonate with, what's fun, what's interesting, and what do you love about yourself when you're with this person? That's fun too.
Yes. And, that's what this whole concept of From Mrs. to Me is about, that discovery process. And it is a discovery process.
It is. Yeah.
Any big change we go through in life, is an opportunity for us to go in and really look at, okay, who am I? What do I want in this next chapter? And what lights me up, all of those things. And this is also part of that discovery process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it may not look the same. And that's okay. That's actually a beautiful thing lots of times. So you're so right. It really is. It's not going to always look the same. And I think there are so many women that say, I love that you said, so I had to chuckle, my type. No, let's take that off the table and look at this a little bit differently, because you're absolutely right. It changes, and it is all a process of discovery. So sorry, go ahead.
Friends with the ebb and flow of the process, because when a trigger comes up, that's a gift. It's a mindset shift to see it as a gift, but it's like, oh, hello, it's a signal like, oh, I need to address this thing. Because it's not, that trigger isn't about the other person that provided that. They provided you with just some feedback like, oh, that's still a thing for me. And then maybe you do take a break, or you talk about that with your counselor, your therapist, your coach, or your best friends. And you're just like, wow, that's still there. How is that still there?
Yes.
I've been through that and mucking around with that for a long time now. So once you start to see the triggers as a gift, then you're going to heal more. You're going to progress more in the journey. And then that changes who will be attracted to you too. And then how much more you become in love with yourself. And the journey just ebbs and flows. And you'll discover two patterns. That's part of conscious dating. You're going to sit down with paper, write down your deal breakers on paper, write down your needs on paper. And every so often, and I mean like the first few days after every date, do I really want to go out with them again? Because once you start to the place where you're open to love now and you want a relationship, those lists are magical pieces of paper that you need to sit down at the table. And really, that's why journaling is so powerful. Writing it out, going through that same physical, mind, body, soulful process is so powerful. Then once you fall into the romantic mist, you are getting those lists out. I'm telling you, those lists will save your life. And that's where the saving years of time and money dating the wrong people come in, because as things change, you can update your lists, but you want to step out just for 10 minutes, step out of that beautiful, love-filled romantic fog every 2 weeks. And then once you're in a committed relationship, every month, and then every 3 months as you're together for a while, and re-looking at the lists, because yes, you're madly in love, but now we know love isn't enough. Love isn't enough to sustain you. You need the connectors. You need what's going to be sustainable. So who cares if they don't golf? Who cares if they're not blonde and 6'1"? Those aren't on the lists. But if you never see each other because they live in Alaska or they work opposite shifts and that can't be changed, then you know it's over. And then before you get too deep and you're blending your families and you fall madly in love, you're taking yourself out, you're ending it, when you know it needs to be ended so it doesn't progress and 3 years don't go by and you go, I knew this month 5 and I didn't end it. Those pieces of paper, the conscious dating practices that I teach get you out of the process just for 10 minutes. And then you can go right back into that delicious fog we all love to be in, the love mist. But I just want to help empower you so that time doesn't go by. And then you're not hurting yourself. And if you have children, you're hurting them more too.
Yes. And, well, first of all, I love that you highlighted journaling because it's something I talk about all the time and I think is so valuable. I have so many of them from before I got divorced to now, and going back and being able to look at those things and dating. Going back and looking at that and those lists and how things changed and where I was and how I was feeling, it's so valuable. So I love that you brought that up. And then you just mentioned children and you mentioned introducing children. And so my last question, it leads me to my last question, which is a lot of women will say, what do you tell your children and when do you introduce your children to this process? Meaning, do you tell them you're dating? Do you introduce them? When do you like that kind of thing? What do you advise clients around children when it comes to dating and finding a new partner?
Yes. Well, that's so important. It's so important. And I've spent many years counseling children also. So I've been on the receiving end of their stories of how they felt like they've been lied to, which even if you've just withheld to a child and to us, right? You feel like withholding is lying, right? If I were to ask you. So you could start when they're young, you're going to go with their developmental stages and you're just going to say, I'm going to start going out now and trying to make new friends and just see how I feel going out with different people. Very simple. And if you want to tell your children this because someday you will find someone you like and you want to introduce them. And if you haven't said anything and then they find out you've been with this person for 6 months, they internalize that as you've been lying to me for 6 months. So like 5th grade and over, you need to really tell them, I'm dating. I'm just dating now. And I just wanted you to know that. That's it. It's not a long, profound conversation. They can ask questions then and you'll answer them truthfully. They aren't going to ask a lot of questions. Then when they get into middle school, they're going to go, so how was your date? And they're going to say, and you can start to say what didn't go well or what went well. He was really funny. I'm going to go out with him again. That's simple. And when they get older or you get deeper, like it's kind of fun. They're going to learn through your selection process about their own selection process. So you can say, well, he just wouldn't really share with me and tell me what was going on. So we really didn't become best friends. So then we weren't a good match. Or he had different ideas about this than I did. So we weren't a good match. And so then that puts the good ideas in their head about how to choose a mate and a match for themselves and and that it's okay to let go. It's okay to break up. It's okay to decide that it's over. It's okay to continue to explore when you're not sure, right? Like I said, if it's a maybe, you keep going, right? You don't want to let go of someone over something trivial guys make bad mistakes, right? They don't know what to wear. They don't, they just don't. They're just silly. Like offering to pick you up. That is really an old fashioned trait. I love that. And I just say, and all I say is, you'll get good at saying these things with practice, right? Oh, no, that's okay. I'll meet you there. So they don't feel bad because I love the gesture. Yeah. I understand. I love the intention behind the gesture. And then I'm making them feel okay about it. But then I know that I have my own car. I can get home on my own and I feel safer with that. So what you want to do with children is just be honest. I'm dating. I'm putting someone out there. And then when you introduce them, make that really a small thing too. They pop their head in the door because now you're at the point where they can pick you up. And they just say, hey guys, I'm James. Nice to meet you. And you leave.
Yes.
We're not going camping. We're not on an hour excursion. It's just, hey, so put a face to the name and and then you go out for ice cream. and then you play a game. It's very small, little baby steps. So it's not heavy. It's not a big deal. It's not we're getting married. It's just little tiny things so that children can begin to connect and put a face to the name. They call on the phone. Like, I know we don't have landlines really anymore, right? But if they were to answer your phone, hey, this is James. Hi, Audrey. How are you? And they just chat for those 15 seconds with your child and then say, hey, is your mom there? Whatever little baby steps. So your child never feels lied to, because there's nothing more important with your children than trust, just like with your future partner.
Yes.
And they want to know what's going on, because then your child feels safe. They always know what's happening. And then, I even just tell my children, oh, I'm going on a date tonight. And they go, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. And I love that.
It doesn't have to be heavy.
Yes, I love that. And it took me after the first, experience to realize that you have to be honest. You're not helping them out by hiding it. And, they know you're going somewhere. They know something's different. And it does feel like you're being dishonest to them. So but it doesn't have to be big.
Tell you when they're dating.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So modeling that behavior you want to see come from them.
Yes, exactly. This has been such a great conversation, Tamara. And I just loved that you were so open and honest with some amazing tips. And obviously there's more there that we weren't even able to tap into. So can you tell the audience, if they want to find out more about you or learn more about the work you are doing, how can they do that?
Well, the easiest thing is to follow me on Facebook. Just so I post a reel every day or so, Tamara TC. That's the best way to find me. And you can follow me on Instagram, Tamara True Connection, or my website, which is under construction. So forgive me for that, but it's really cool. I'm getting really excited about it. And that's trueconnection.coach, COACH. So I would love to help you just make the journey easier to finding someone special when you're ready, right? And in the meantime, have fun and explore you and get you to where you want to be, so that your next relationship is about what you really want, which is really about what you really need. So anytime, I would love to come back and share more about sex, intimacy, connection, because that's a whole nother thing that's difficult to navigate, is the affection. And then all the intimacies that we want to experience beyond, right? We want emotional, mental, spiritual intimacy too. So all those things. Would love to come back anytime and share more.
Great. Yes, would love to have you back, because those are also really important topics. And so I will be providing also the information that Tamara shared in the show notes, in case if you missed it, you can find it there. And also, if you're interested in joining the From Mrs. to Me community, you can find us on Facebook at From Mrs. to Me, Rediscovering You After Divorce, where you can also have access to workshops and additional tools. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. And Tamara, thank you so much for joining us. And yes, I would love to have you back soon. And to the audience, remember, you can't pour from an empty cup, so keep doing that inner work, and I will see you here next time. I hope you enjoyed another episode of From Mrs. to Me, real life stories of real women and their journey of transformation after divorce. I'm Crissy Freeman, and if you like this episode, please drop a review in Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Do you have a story to share? Are you ready to inspire other women on their journey through divorce? If so, find me on Instagram at From Mrs. to Me. For more tools and resources on creating your path to transformation after divorce, follow my community on Facebook, From Mrs. to Me, Rediscovering You After Divorce.